We thought we knew most of what there was to know about the audiophile hobby, but there's a new mystery, and it's baffling audiophiles all over the world. Come with me and let's see if we can solve it. The Dita Navigator is a $299 US dongle DAC. That means it's a DAC and headphone amp that's going to plug into your smartphone, your computer, really any device with a USB output, and take care of both decoding the audio and outputting a signal into your headphones or your earphones. It uses a pair of ESS ES9219 DAC chips, and that tells us exactly nothing, but I know some of you like to know. It's compatible up to DSD256 and with MQA, and it'll output 340 milliwatts into a 32 ohm load, making it pretty powerful for a compact device. It's got a USB-C input on the bottom. It's also lightning compatible, so you can run a lightning to USB-C cable if you're an Apple user. And it's got these hardware buttons here for volume that don't actually interact with your device. And what I mean by that is that pressing these doesn't change the volume levels on your computer or your smartphone. And I kind of like that because it keeps things simple, and there's plenty of volume steps available here to get just the right volume level, even on sensitive IEMS. It's got an unbalanced 3.5mm and a balanced 4.4mm output on the top or the bottom, depending on how you look at it, the side even. And they sound pretty similar, but the 3.5mm is a little bit more smooth, less spacious, less separated. It's not as good as the 4.4mm in my opinion, but still very enjoyable. Where things start to get a bit different is it's also got a kickstand, like a bike. That means you can prop up the dongle on a bench while you're listening to it, or you can also use it to prop up a device while you're watching media. But you know what's not cool about the Navigator? We'll get to that in a minute when we start talking about this mystery that's plaguing audiophiles all over the world. So for now, it's rugged, it's made of solid aluminium, it looks pretty cool, it's even got a kickstand, but that only means so much. This is the Questyle M15 dongle. It's not the dongle this review is about, but it is the dongle that any challenger has to beat. Before we find out how the Navigator goes against the Questyle M15, let's talk about that mystery. You see, the Navigator has a screwdriver built into it. Yes, a screwdriver. You'd be forgiven for thinking it's for opening up the device, adjusting the device somehow, but you'd be wrong. It seems to be a bonus feature, but it's the most unwanted bonus feature I've ever come across. I mean, maybe if I have to tighten the arm on my sunglasses when I'm out and about one day, then it might be helpful. But why? Do you know what no one on earth has ever said? You know what would be really great? Is a dongle with a spare screwdriver. So back to that mystery. Do you know why the screwdriver is there? If you do, let me know in the comments down below, because this is a mystery that's going to haunt me to my grave. And what makes it even worse, unfortunately, is that every time you go to connect or disconnect a cable from the Navigator, your thumb wants to go to the ridged section on the edge of the screwdriver, which is really comfortable for exactly that purpose. The problem is though, that if you're putting resistance against a plug going in, the screwdriver wants to slide out. And then if we take it out altogether, you're left with a really uncomfortable feeling design. And so would I not buy it because of the screwdriver? Well, no, but that's assuming that it's going to sound good and whether or not it can beat the Questyle M15. And that is a big if. Listening to the M15 and it brings a slightly warmer, fuller sense to the mid-range that really helps to focus you in on things like vocals. It's a more enveloping sound that's smooth but still very detailed. There's a reason the Questyle M15 is one of the most highly respected dongle DACs on the market. Its sound is natural, it's resolving and it's spacious. And so the Navigator has no right at all in beating it. In some ways at least. The Navigator has a greater overall sense of space to its sound, and its sense of resolution and articulation is actually next level compared to the M15. I'm not talking an exponential leap, but a clear step up. The Navigator offers more granular volume steps via those hardware buttons, and that can be really handy if your software solutions don't give you enough steps. Looking at you, Windows. The Navigator also seems more resilient to environmental noise thanks to that full aluminium chassis. The Questyle M15 is great to look at with its glass front panel, but I think that might also be a flaw in letting in some environmental noise like data noise from cell phones, etc. And in fact, the only place that I feel like the M15 has it over the Navigator is that it produces a slightly deeper soundstage. That's normally a really important factor for me. I'm a bit of a soundstage fan, but with the Navigator, I just don't care, because everything else is so enjoyable, and it still produces a greater overall sense of space because the separation of all the sounds is fantastic. And it's not completely lacking depth, it just doesn't have as much as the M15, but it's offset with greater width and greater separation of sounds. And so the Navigator is comfortably one of the best dongle DACs I've ever tried. And it's also beautifully built, so it's going to last you for the long term. Now, if only one of you can tell me what on earth that screwdriver's for, everything's going to be perfect in the world. If you want to pick up a Navigator for yourself, check out the links in the description below. And for now, I want to say a huge thanks to all the channel patrons that helped to make this video possible. If you'd like to join the community, click the link here and check out the various tiers and the benefits that each of them receives. And if you've enjoyed this video, I think you'll really like this one up here.